And we are back. Hi, everyone. I'm Brandy Keeler, Assistant Director of Admissions here at the College for Creative Studies. Welcome back to another CCS Alumni Live. CCS Alumni Live is a weekly conversation where we talk with graduates from the College for Creative Studies about their journey from high school to career. And today we have an awesome guest that we're going to be talking about their journey into the footwear design industry, into the product design industry. And I see our guest has joined the live, so I'm super excited. Yes, so this is how this works. We're going to have some questions and learn about Guercy's journey from high school to career. I'm going to add him to the live in a second after I read his bio. And then you as guests, if you have any questions that you want answered live, feel free to drop those in the chat. So today we're talking with Miami native Guercy Eugene, who has been in the sportswear industry for the past 7 years. He graduated from CCS in 2013 with his BFA in product design. He has done work with companies like Adidas, Reebok, and Puma while creating amazing products with top name celebrities and athletes, including Usain Bolt, The Weeknd, and Rihanna. During that time, he has been able to travel the world, see places, visiting places he never imagined he'd go. And today he works in California for Anta, the #1 sportswear brand in China. So we're super excited to have Guercy on CCS Alumni Live. Adding him.
Yo,
There's our guest of honor. How are
what's
you?
going on? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. That was an amazing introduction. I appreciate that. Hello to
Oh, I
everyone
mean,
out there. That was amazing.
I have said nothing but the truth. You've been
Man, I
busy since you
appreciate you.
graduated.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Just a little, but yeah, man. Definitely had a lot of great opportunities since I graduated from CCS. So, it's been amazing. It's been amazing.
Awesome.
I
Well,
see
we're gonna
Ashton
talk
join the
about that.
room.
We're gonna talk about that. I see that we have some other
Dallas.
alums who
Yeah,
are
yeah,
here
yeah, yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
Hi, all the other CCS folks in the live with us.
Yes,
So
sir.
I want you to bring us up to speed. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing now and what work looks like for you at Anta, especially during the pandemic. I know work looks different for artists and designers these days. So tell us what it is you're working on and what your day-to-day work looks like.
Well, actually, that's funny because I'm literally sitting at my work table right now, so I can kind of show you like my day to day is pretty much just like, hold on, I can show you right here.
Ooh, show and tell.
So this is pretty much my day to day. Got some candles, got my laptop ready to go, and just working. And now since I'm working for a brand that's like more located in China, I'm having
Mm-hmm.
to, do everything online. There's not that much
Mm-hmm.
traveling going on. So we're pretty much just sending files back and forth and having to make corrections through images, and they're having to mail products to us so we can be able to make those corrections. But we figured out a way to make it work. It was a little difficult in the beginning, but I
Mm-hmm.
think the process has been new to everybody. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just trying to figure out how to make it work and smooth for everybody. So we could just keep going.
Keep it
But
going. I
definitely
know
was a
that's
little
right.
tricky during COVID. Yeah, definitely a little
And
tricky.
I feel like the interesting thing is a lot of industries people pivoted to online and we're like, okay, we're sending things back and forth, but there's still the adjustment period of like, oh, the way that we collaborate, the way that we give feedback, the way that we do things,
Right,
like there are elements of the creative process that are drastically different when online. Um,
right,
but I want to talk about some of the specific things that you work on because I know on your Instagram you post like concept footwear design as well.
right,
Like
right.
what would you say like is the primary type of footwear that you work on in your day to day? Is it like footwear that people are going on to then buy? Is it like concepts more
right.
so for like special athletes? Like what is the I would say if you were to break it down by percentages, like what type of things do you work on?
Oh man, that's a great question. So I feel like, and this is very rare, right? Like, so when I was at Puma, and the majority of like the companies here in the US, like, if you're talking about Puma, Adidas, Nike, and all those places, they traditionally want, designers to make sure, whatever you're working on or whatever, it is, you keep that tight, not, everybody's knowing your stuff. Um, where here at Anta, we've been able to do, whatever they need us to do, like, and be just as like, in depth and open about stuff, but then they're also letting us, um, be creative online, you know? So, you know, not really restricting that, you know, especially because like there's all this new technology. There's a new technology that I'm sure a lot of designers are using called Gravity Sketch, and like um, it's a program actually, but the it's on the Oculus. It's like this this little
Like
thing,
virtual
yeah, like
reality.
virtual reality thing. So I've been building a lot of stuff on there. So whatever I'm pretty much building on there, like you kind of have to pick and choose things that are like not really makeable as a shoe. Those are the kind of things I'm kind of posting up online.
Mm-hmm.
But then also like on my day-to-day basis is more, you know, I'm working on running shoes, training shoes, lifestyle shoes, and like, you know, just like it's just a way different uh, playing field, you know, just like being a little bit more, you know, not traditional, but like, you know, when you're building a shoe, you have to actually think about like, you know, is this like measurements, this, that, and the third, blueprints, like, can you actually make this thing where like on Instagram, I'm kind of making things that are like, you know, there's no restrictions, you know, if it works, it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Like, I think the last one that I think I was really excited about, well, two things. On the Anta side, I had to just drop that one shoe, which is kind of funny. I forgot to add this part. A lot of the stuff that we make in China, a lot of them are only released in China. So that's another different thing that I'm kind of experiencing now. So like a lot of the stuff that I'm putting online are things that you can only purchase there and you can't really purchase here.
Oh wow.
Um, which is a little different from, you know, working at Puma where you walk around everywhere and you see everybody wearing your stuff and, you know.
Do you at
So
least get a copy of your shoes? Do they mail
oh
you a
yeah, no,
copy?
of course, no, you know, of
Okay.
course, no, definitely, no, definitely, definitely, and that's another funny thing you said. You know, since I'm working for a Chinese brand now, the sizes are different. You know, you gotta think about it like, you know, like the feet sizes are a little bit smaller. Like, you know, the average size here in the U.S. is a 9, where over there for a man is like, I believe it's like 8 or something. Like it's way different. You know, like way
Mm-hmm.
smaller, and like they only go up to 10.5 US. So,
Oh
you know,
wow.
yeah. So things like that, you know what I mean? Those are the things we have to deal with, like in the Imagine clothing and things like that. But
I was gonna say,
yeah,
what
so
size do you wear? Are you able to fit all the shoes that you
oh
get?
well, no, of course. That's why I get them in the maximum size. You know what I mean? Like I get them as big as possible, and you know, like you know, you try to make things fit. And like a majority of the time now, like I've gotten so many sneakers around the time. At this point, I'm just like taking them so I could be able to like store them and you know use them for like you know, hey, show them to my kids or whatever it is in the future.
Mm-hmm.
You know, stuff like that.
I always have this question in my head for footwear designers or sneakerheads, like when you're a person who loves shoes and then you
Right.
also have a career where you make shoes, do you have like a crazy large shoe collection? Are you still like a sneakerhead shoe collector type
Oh
person?
yeah, oh yeah. Like I mean, we, you know, we definitely, and like I'm sure a lot of the
Oh,
people on here can definitely tell you, like
oh my gosh.
you know, we kind of go crazy, but that's from like that's from actually like you know throughout the years you're working and people are coming up to you or like you're going up to them like, yo, do you have this or do you have that, da, da, and like you get like these you know cool discounts while you're working there, so you just like it's like you know your dream come true
Stockpile.
as a kid, you know, like they you know that's the one thing as a like I try to explain to like um anybody that's trying to get into anything, like you know, when I was a kid, I love sneakers. Obviously, like you know, like if you're gonna design shoes, you should probably like sneakers, right? But I didn't get those kind of sneakers around that time. You know what I mean? So like now it's like you know, like you know, you get the cake that you've been fiending for, and yeah, so at a certain point that cake kind of like you kind of want it now, you don't want it as much, you kind of try to treat it as like a like not a trophy but more of like a, oh, here's this piece that I did, I want to make sure I have it for future stuff, like you know things I could you know have for the future pretty much. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just transformed into so many different feelings throughout the time. Having so many shoes is it's kind of funny.
I just always wonder, like, do they keep up
uh,
the pace or does it slow down? Because it's like I see shoes all the time. I can get them so much easier, things like that. So speaking of, trophy shoes and historic, one day you might have your own museum exhibition of shoes you worked on.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what would you say has been? Because you've done, like we read in your bio, you've done work for Rihanna and Usain Bolt, which we talk a lot about in our
Right.
admissions presentations and the weekend. Like, what would you say of all the things that you've worked on? What shoe or what project has been your favorite or your most proudest moment?
Man, um okay. So I think the shoe that was like, and by name you won't remember, but like you probably said like the weekend shoe. But the way that happened was kind of funny. So,
Story time.
right. So the funny thing about that is, so there was a shoe that we were designing, and I'm sure like some of the people that, if anybody's working if anybody that's watching that used to work at Puma probably know, it was called the Limitless, and it was like it got built out into like this whole like different collection thing that me and my boss and a couple other friends are working on. Even Aston, who's on here, was actually doing the graphics and all that cool stuff, and it was a project that we were just working on the side. Like it wasn't even something supposed to be anything. Like we were like the newbies at Puma, so like we weren't really like we were working on things. You know what I mean? Like getting things done, like doing our everyday job, but we weren't working on like the this, that, and third or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like which was like that's how it goes. Like when you first get in there, you're supposed to not wait your turn because that's such a bad way to say things, but like you got to put in the groundwork before they're like, oh, we're gonna trust you with a project this big, et cetera, et cetera. So like the great thing about that was like like at first it wasn't getting too much love, you know what I'm saying, because there was not that much support. It was just like not that it wasn't that much support. We were just like designing things, but it was like we had no money behind it or whatever it was, or like there was no one putting marketing money or development money behind it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had a couple people coming in that were because what happens is while you work at Puma, then you have people like Foot Locker, all these different sporting goods stores. They come in and they're looking for new stuff, like show us what you got that's fresh, like. And I think around that time, Puma was like kind of in like a pause, like not a pause, but like there wasn't hitting, you know what I mean? Like just it wasn't hitting. And they saw kind of like the stuff we were doing, but it was like on the side type thing, and they're like, yo, what's that? So like
Mm-hmm.
that kind of like, kind of propelled us to like the forefront. And like, I think I put that in like the little bio thing. Like, I think part of that also like helped, the whole squad,
Mm-hmm.
get turned up because Aston was a part of it. I'm a part of it. Jared's in there doing his thing. So like it kind of like elevated us all. France, unfortunately, wasn't a part of it around that time, but he actually was working at Converse, so he had his own thing going on
Mm-hmm.
over there. You know what I'm saying? But I think that was like my most like happiest moment at Puma because it taught me a lot. Like, all right, cool. Like sometimes like your opportunity is not gonna come the way you want it. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not gonna, like you might, be working on something for many years, like and people not seeing what you're seeing, and then like, 2 or 3 years later or whatever, somebody like, yo, what's that? Like, hey, like
Mm-hmm.
this kind of, so just like kind of learn having those little teachings were pretty cool
I
during
think
that
I think
process.
that's cool too. That I know Aston talked about this, and he was our OG for IG Live. He was our very first IG Live interview, so we only have the
Oh yeah,
recording because it was
man,
the very first.
Aston's big
But
time.
yeah, but he was talking about just like some of those happenstance things too, where it's like you work on your passion projects alongside, what your day-to-day work is, and you never know where those things will lead, or what connection will have you doing something you never expected. So I think that's so cool. Tell me
Right.
a little bit more about, because I normally leave this question a little bit later for when we talk about CCS,
Okay.
but I think it's so unique to you and Aston and France um, and Jared that you have had this connection of fellow designers who I assume most of you, a majority of you knew each other before CCS, right? But
Yeah, we
some of
went,
you
we all
met at
went to high
CCS
school with each other. Yeah.
and Andrew too, right? Like tell me a little bit
Yeah, yeah.
about what the connections have looked like at CCS and post CCS.
Man, shout out to yourself too. He's on the I see
Hey,
yourself,
yes.
Ashley, the
Oh, I
whole
haven't heard
squad.
his name in a long
Yeah,
time. Hey,
I mean, you got the whole
yes.
squad up in here, man, Ashley up in here. But yeah, I'll say, you know, talk about the high school part first. Like, I think like being from Miami, like especially when we left home, we kind of were like, yo, like we gotta like stay tight knit because there's a lot out there. We need to make sure we like squad up. And shout out my boy Edwin too. He's on here too. Sorry. And especially me, France, and Jared, because like we were, I mean, already really really tight up in high school type stuff. So like we made sure like yo, if one of y'all winning, we all winning, right? That's like the whole point, right? Like the whole thing is like, and that's how we kind of kept it like um in college too, right? Like it was kind of like, yo, listen, like, because that funny story, we didn't go to CCS freshman year. We went
What?
to we went to school in Ohio,
I did
right?
not know that at all.
Yeah, we didn't go to school in
Wait, all
that was
three of
that
you went to a different
all of
school?
us. But yeah, it was like me, actually Lewis. I don't know if you remember Lewis Toussaint.
Mm-hmm.
He actually didn't finish CCS, but yeah, he also went to
A school in
school to
Ohio.
Ohio. Yeah, so we were all there, and like it's a great school and all, but like we spent the whole year pretty much just like having fun, right? Like, and because like the school wasn't really built for product design, right? Like, so, and like Ohio is a great, state, like, Columbus, CCAD is a great school if for illustration and stuff like that. But for us, it like we were just like, we want what's going on in Detroit, CCS, you know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And we had a ton of friends there, which is where like we started meeting the Andrew James, like, we had Joe Free there, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, Coming over to Ohio to come like link up, you know what I'm saying? Like, like, because our friends are over there in Detroit and we're already in Ohio. So like they're making friends and they're bringing them over to Ohio. We're going to Detroit, just all kind of connections going on at that point. So then when we got to CCS, it's pretty much the same thing. Like, all right, cool. Like we're about to go to this thing. Like we all applied at the same time. Sabrina Nelson she
Admissions
could tell you.
counselor of the stars,
Yeah, she
Sabrina
could tell you like
Nelson.
we literally turned like our whole application process was all together pretty much, which is kind of crazy. And So then when we got to CCS, it was like pretty much back to the same thing. Like, and it kind of like it was great because when we were in high school, we went to industrial design high school. Also, not specific
Mm-hmm.
guys, but this design that fashion and a bunch of different things.
Dash, right?
Yeah, Dash, yeah.
Yep.
So then we were able to like, just get back to it, kind of like riding the bike, just like, hey, listen, some people might be learning something better over on this side and this person might be learning. So like, when we get back to the crib at the end of the day, like we all teach, hey, yo, this is what I learned today, this, how to do that. So we making
Mm-hmm.
sure like no one's really falling off, right? Like, so you're not really
Mm-hmm.
like, just like, oh, yeah, I learned this. Let me just keep it away from you, type of, like
Mm-hmm.
so, but then also you had like this nighttime crew, right? And that's where we all really linked up, with the Astons. I mean, like even my girl Tiffany, like Bontrager. I mean, we've been together since college, type shit. Sorry, excuse the language,
CCS love.
right? And but we were all like in the 10th floor lab, just like working till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm sure you know about that life, like pretty much
Mm-hmm.
like every day. So like,
Right.
we kind of like that dash squad link up
Mm-hmm.
connection kind of like spread it amongst the people who were hanging out in CCS, where it was like,
Yeah.
hey, listen, if you know something, let me know. Da, 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 obviously the competition in CCS really high, so that's also involved. But also we also grew a high respect for one another. Like, hey, listen, do your thing, whatever it is, but just make sure you go, listen, there's people out here trying to do things, whatever, et cetera, right? So then when we kind of, graduated, like I said, just right back to the same thing. Like, all right, cool. We got some link up, everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Share the
this,
research.
yeah, this
Yeah.
person's here, this person's there, like, I think Jared was at New Balance doing an internship after he graduated.
Mm-hmm.
And France and Aston was at Reebok
Mm-hmm.
um, after they graduated, doing an apprenticeship. And then I was working over at Puma, and then like obviously like uh, uh, everything has their timelines, right? Like the internship has a timeline, apprenticeship has a timeline, kind of thing. So then these boys are looking for gigs, et cetera, right? So like obviously their portfolio is fire, so there's
Crazy.
not really they don't really right. So like obviously like yo, Guercy, turn this boy in, da da da. And instantly, yo, like I mean, the work speaks for itself. Like Aston, the amazing graphic designer, Jared is like, retired with it. So like boom, boom. Now they're working at Puma, and we got the
The
whole squad
squad's
mixed in,
there.
right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So then, Andrew, he's over at New Balance in Boston doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? So then you got France. France is he got after the Reebok thing, then he gets a job over at Converse. So while
Mm-hmm.
he's at Converse, we got our thing going at Puma. So I'm like, I kept talking to my boss. I'm like, yo, man, like, France over there at Converse killing it. You need to, you know what I mean?
Right.
So then we bring him on over here. You know what I'm saying? So now he's at Puma. So now we got the whole squad over at Puma, right? So it's all Puma gang at that point. So then, we're doing our thing, and then so I don't know if you're familiar with like the whole like Jay-Z basketball stuff, like the
I
whole
know Asin shared a story about an airplane. I remember
right,
that.
right. So then like like the whole start off, like the whole idea, like the fact that they started off with heritage and now they're going into like they had to tell their story first, and then now they're going into like this more modern, like younger, junior, et cetera, et cetera. Like those are the stories that we got put together for them because they hadn't really had that heritage anymore in basketball. They had it from, obviously their main, but it wasn't there that much. And then like we were obviously we're working really closely with like Emery, who obviously works on Jay-Z's team, which is amazing, like really one-on-one type stuff. And like so to see what it became was amazing. We all got to work on that. Like the whole squad got to work on that thing. And then so like while we're working on that, we had a boss, Sean O'Shea, shout out to Sean. And he was like, yo, like there's this company, which is where we are now. And he's like, yo, like, they trying to just take y'all off. So so then we all just got signed together, right? And then like, while we're there, we're you know what I mean, like, yo, I got my boy Drew. And, oh yeah, we can bring him through. You know what I mean? So it's like
I
so
think
then, you
that's
know what I
so
mean?
dope
Like,
though that you're because obviously they're the friends that you've had from high school, but there's also friends that you met at CCS and you all
yeah,
became like this essentially like a creative collective that has
right,
moved together through the industry. Like, okay, I think that's cool because I know we talk a lot about in the CCS, like like it really is a family. Like you reach out to people, you share jobs and opportunities with people who are alumni, pull students who are looking onto them. And I feel like you all are a great example of that. Like when I read, I think it was something on LinkedIn, it was like listing all the designers at Anta. I was like, they all just moved from one
right.
place to another place. I was like, they're just college roommates that just never stopped living together, hanging out. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think that's a beautiful
Man.
example of the power of networking, the power of connections. And like you
Yep.
said, yes, it's competitive because the industry requires that, but you all are like the shining example for me of what it looks like to collaborate as artists, as designers, as creatives of color, and just like taking that power with you everywhere you go and never leaving someone behind. I just like
Right.
shouts out to your whole
I
crew because you
appreciate
all
that. I
have
appreciate
never
that.
dropped that ball, and it's just amazing to see. So let's talk. So we talked a little bit about high school. I know you
Right.
shouted out some of the internships that some of your peers were able to have. Tell me a little bit about what your internship experience looked like at CCS and how that prepared you for your industry.
All right. So I think one of the great things that CCS did was that obviously like when I came in, I was like, yeah, I really want to be a sneaker designer. That's what I want to do. You ain't gonna tell me nothing else. And I think like one of the things I had to really teach myself was like, okay, we know you want to be a footwear designer, but like, obviously if you're going to be applying for companies, they want to see more than just footwear in your portfolio. So like, I think they really prepared us for that, so being able to have like product design stuff and not just like a bunch of sneakers in your portfolio, because even people in the footwear industry, like at a certain point, they want to see something else besides shoes, right? That's number one. So number two is, so also that also made it easier for me to apply to more internships rather than just footwear, right? So then I was able to, luckily my first internship was a footwear internship. It was actually Hush Puppies. And I don't know, like as a kid, Hush Puppies was like, you know what I
I was
mean?
about to say
Like,
that's throwback.
you know what I mean? Like that was my Joan, you know what I mean? And it was actually in Grand Rapids, Michigan.
Oh.
And I had the opportunity to go there for the summer, which was amazing. And then, so question, do you want me to be real
I
about
mean, this is to
my next experience?
give insights, to
Okay.
share information and
Okay.
knowledge.
This is about to be
I don't
super
want
real.
I don't want to bash anybody, but definitely stay
No, no, of
honest.
course, no bashing vibes. Oh no, we ain't got that kind of energy up in here. So, nah, so um I had gotten arrested while I was in school, right?
Oh no, I didn't know that.
Yes, I had gotten arrested while I was in school, and uh, it had it was kind of for a really dumb reason or whatever, but whatever. Kids, that's what, that's what happens. And uh, I had ended up getting an internship at Husqvarna, right? That was like my only product design. And the only reason I tell you this story is because it's like wild. And shout out for CCS and like Christine. Well, I don't even know if I should say her name. So, but um, so I'm at my internship at Husqvarna, and I'm like 2 weeks in North Carolina, right? Like I'm not from North Carolina. All my stuff is in like CCS, right? Like, and um, this lady hits me up with an email, and she goes, "Hey, listen, like, we just did your background, redid your background check again. I don't know why they
Oh.
redid my background check.
After you were
Uh,
already in the
Already,
internship?
oh, dude, I've been there too. Already got me a check. You know what I mean? The whole thing." So they're like, "Yo, you did a background check, blah blah blah," and like the semester's already started, so I can't, like, the semester's
Yeah.
already like 2 weeks in. So I'm like, they're like, "Yeah, you can't really come back or whatever. Like, you're fired, or whatever." So I'm like going back home, like, all right, cool, like, ain't got no, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty much stuck, et cetera, et cetera. So I come back to school, and on my way back, I get a phone call and I get an internship offered to me by Adidas, but it's not for another 6 months or something,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I need to figure out what I'm going to do in between those times. And school already
Mm-hmm.
started. So then Kristen Huff, I'll say her name.
Oh
I don't
yeah,
really
of
think she was
course.
saying it
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah, that's my dog. That's my dog. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Career
she held it down
development. Shout outs to your office.
heavy. I was in there all the time. Like, if you're a student trying to, like, honestly, the most important office while you're in school is career services. Okay? Okay?
I don't play
Wait,
favorites,
come on,
but
come
I
on, come
know
on,
that
wait,
they
wait,
help
wait.
if you want a
No.
job.
Wait. Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Let me take that back. Let me take that back, because there's many different offices you can go to for many different things. For jobs, if you're looking for a job, let me be very specific because you're so right. If you're looking for a gig in career services,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's what they do, and like they were very helpful around that time. But like I was saying, like, so I was able to come back, and Kristen Huff was able to go, "Hey, listen, you have the 6 months. How about we try to figure out a way to get you into some classes or whatever?" So CCS, like, her and CCS were able to really help me out, so I can be able to get back into classes and stuff. And then I did my 6 months internship at Adidas, and it was amazing. It was amazing. And while I was at Adidas, then I got called up from Reebok, and then got to do my internship at Reebok, which is also an amazing experience. And at those internships, I think the most important thing I learned was, like, just like getting up my work ethic. Obviously, you learn different things like tech packs and blueprints and all these other things that just takes time, right? Like, you're gonna learn these things, like, as hard as people make things. Oh, you'll never, like, people, the names make things hard. Like, somebody will tell you, like, yeah, you need to build a blueprint, but truly, when you start building that blueprint, you've done it once or twice or three times, you're gonna be like, oh, like, this is kind of easy. I could do this with my eyes
Mm-hmm.
closed, kind of thing. So, like,
Mm-hmm.
I think, like, the most important thing for me at those internships was, like, learning about more work ethic. Obviously, CCS
Mm-hmm.
taught us that, but I think it's a different kind of work ethic when you're in a corporate environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that
Because your
was
work
my
ethic there is what keeps you fed.
exactly. It's
Yeah.
way different. It's way different.
That's beautiful though to hear that, one, not only did the career development office help you with multiple internships, so you're gaining, multiple work experiences that are building that work ethic, but also, like, I think I'm glad that you shared your experience about, being arrested in that part of your journey, because, like, I think it's important for students to know, like, there are
Yep.
all different kinds of journeys from
That's
high
why I
school
said
to
it.
career for artists. There's all kinds of things. And we are
That's why I
imperfect.
said
I've
it.
had so many interviews where people talk about, I ran into this issue or this happened
Right.
or this, and I didn't
Right.
think, and I think it's beautiful that you share, like, and then people at CCS were here in my corner to help me. Like, you weren't
Yep.
judged because of that incident,
Yes. Yes.
So,
That was another good thing. Like, I really have to give it up to them, because, like, I really did not get any judgment. People were really like, "Yo, listen, you're a kid, you know what I mean? Like, you're learning, like, and, like, honestly, I mean, I wasn't a bad kid. Like, I just ran into the wrong situation. That was it.
mm-hmm,
And I really appreciated that, because, like, most people don't get those kind of opportunities.
mm-hmm,
We all know that. So,
mm-hmm.
like, I think that was, like, just, like, amazing. on
Yeah.
their part. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. So last question for me, and
Okay.
then we're going to open it up to our audience because I know we have quite a few people who are tuned in, who have been jumping in and out and probably have
Hmm.
questions. If you have questions while I'm asking this question, folks, please drop your questions in the chat box, drop them in the Q&A box so we can get Guercy to answer them live. But I want you to tell me a little bit about one thing you learned or gained from CCS that's really impacted your journey as an artist and designer. Like if you were to say like, if I didn't learn anything else, like this was the thing, you know, whether it's life advice or from a teacher, like what would you say was something you really took away from CCS? What's your biggest takeaway?
Networking.
Mm-hmm.
That was like networking was like the biggest thing for me. Like I think um like that's another reason why I gotta give career service such like a big like shout out is because like they set up these like and I've even like helped them like set up or whatever and not been around like talking lollygagging around while they set up for like these like career days or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The amount of time and effort that they like I think it's all ladies still these
Yep.
days
The
put
ladies of
in.
career
Yes,
development.
yes, yes, they put in a lot of work to make sure like people are showing up, people are fed, people are comfortable, people are are meeting people like even the timing after the career day, then everybody head over to Northern Lights and then you're
Yeah.
able to be able to talk even more, exchange numbers, get emails, do that and third. And they did that I believe every 6 months or every year, something like
I
that,
think
like twice a
semester day,
year.
or at least once a year for every major, but for some
Right,
like twice a year. Yeah,
right. And like I said, I'm speaking mostly for like the product design major. I don't know
they do it for
everybody else.
everybody.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like for me, the amount of work they did for product, I was like, wow, like if you're doing this for that's crazy. And it's amazing. Like I think like that was like the main thing is like networking and like being able to like talk to people and like having like even when I was like a sophomore, junior to be able to be a part of that and get the practice before I actually got into the field. Like I think that was like the biggest thing I got from success was like the networking, big time,
Mm-hmm.
major.
Mm-hmm.
Because to be real with you, like because that's really important, right? Like there's a lot of talented people in the world. There's a lot. Like I know a ton of people that are way more talented than I am, right? Like, but it's more about sometimes, like they say, like it's about who you know, right? Like, and who you stay in contact with, right? And like who you
Mm-hmm.
build that relationship with, because like people know a lot of people, but like, are you building that relationship? Are you staying in
Mm-hmm.
contact? Are you doing things like there's certain things you do to build that network?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'm so glad that your network, while I'm sure it's vast, because you've been working with some big name companies and big name people. I'm so glad to see that. You know, I think one thing I love seeing is like as people move up, they don't leave people behind. Like your network is growing, but it still involves
the
your friends from
homies,
high school, your friends from
for sure.
CCS. Like
Yeah,
you aren't dropping those relationships. So that's beautiful to see, man.
that's mine. That's
Beautiful.
mine.
I just been seeing all the love in the comments on the
Oh
live. Like,
yeah.
hey, so I don't see that. Let me see. I don't think I saw any questions come in from our audience. That's a while. I have not heard Yancel's name in years. I'm like, oh
I
man.
know, right? It's funny, like I know pretty much everybody over here. Well,
Uh-huh.
what's the majority of them? Right.
Nabila's here. So
Yeah.
Ash. Okay, so last question for
Squad.
me, unless
Hmm.
anyone else has questions that they want to drop. If you drop questions, they will get asked. But a question for me, I think is interesting to look back at this journey as an adult, right? Like after doing the work with Jay-Z's team and Rihanna and having Usain Bolt wear your shoes in the Olympics, like after all of that, it's cool.
Hmm.
But when you rewind time, if you could go back and give your 17-year-old self some advice, right? About
Mm.
pursuing your path, what advice would you give young Guercy about pursuing your passion, about pursuing this creative degree?
Uh, man, that's so weird. Cause like the thing is that like, so weird. Cause I'm thinking about like the opportunities that are available now to kids, like access, right? Something like I was like, oh, like here's like, you know, you can go on the internet, go on Instagram, do whatever you want, like you don't even need to, you know, whatever. So I don't think I would say I think damn.
And if it
I'm
helps to
sorry, that
reframe the
like
question, no, it's cool. The reason I ask this question is because obviously this is a great way for us to connect with our fellow alumni, CCS alumni and other artists out there in the world. But the purpose for me for these, the biggest point of these, is for high school students to just see the vast variety of paths, right? The journey
right.
to get to do what your dream job is. You know, those kids who are sneakerheads and all they can think of is footwear design. Like they want to follow in these footsteps. But you know, some of them may not know how, or may need some advice now that maybe you wish you
Okay.
had when you were starting.
Okay,
Like,
yeah,
what
maybe
advice
it's
would you
not
give
towards
someone in high
right,
school interested in this
exactly.
path?
So this is the advice I would give. So, and this is kind of like the advice I give my cousin all the time. Well, I used to. He's kind of like figuring out his way now, but I think like one of the things was, let's just say, like my cousin loves video games,
Mm-hmm.
loves playing video games. Like
Mm-hmm.
this man is on them like 24/7, and like his mom used to be like, no, like you gotta go do something, you gotta figure something out, you gotta like do something. So then, like, his mom would also be, yo, like, why don't you talk to him, like, give him some advice or whatever. And I'm like, kind of like when you ask him, like, what advice? Like, the best advice I would give somebody's like, yo, if you love doing something, like, if you can pay for it, go pursue that career. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, if you love playing video games that much, go be a video game designer.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to be a video game designer. You can be in video game marketing. You can be in video
Mm-hmm.
game sound. You can be in video
Mm-hmm.
game this, that, and third. Da, da, da. There's so many links to being part of video games
Mm-hmm.
that you can be like. I mean, like those video games, you don't gotta pay for them no more. You can have them, right? So, like, if you're into architecture, you like seeing new landscapes, this, that, and third. Da, da, da. Go be an architect. If you like buying furniture, you like buying clothes, da, 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 I mean, whatever it is, go be an interior designer, a fashion designer. So, like, the things that you're willing to spend your money on, you can go create them yourself, so you don't have to spend your money on it. That's the best advice I can give.
Smart guy right there. And for any students who are watching this and don't know how they can get paid to do the thing they're interested in, hit me up because I will give you a whole list of career opportunities for
Right,
any field. If you
right,
like glass blowing, we will find
right,
your career.
right. You know what I'm
You
saying? Like,
know?
no, that's what I mean. Like, that's for real. There's
Mhm.
so many opportunities into these things. It's crazy. Like, it's crazy. There's so many different opportunities. And sometimes like you just need, because that thought, as simple and dumb as it may be or whatever it is, like when it's something that like sometimes someone has to tell you for it to click, like because you don't see it sometimes yourself, right? Like you're kind of just doing this thing all the time. You're on Instagram all the time, right? You're on Instagram all the time. All right, like go work for Instagram. I mean,
Get paid to be on Instagram all the
go
time.
right, become a developer,
Mm-hmm.
you'll be
Social
on that.
media
You'll
manager.
be in that work exactly. So that's kind of that's it right there.
That's amazing advice. And that advice actually, not to do a shameless plug, but I'm going to do a shameless plug. No
Man,
shameless plug. That advice actually is part of, I have a workshop that I'm doing tomorrow for CCS called Ikigai, and it's how to find and pursue your creative path.
right.
And the concept of Ikigai is a combination of four things. It's what you love to do, what you're good at, what you feel the world needs, and what you can get paid to do, and how to figure out, okay, if this is what you love and this is what you want to do, how do you figure out how to get paid to do that? How do you figure out how to
Ex-
make it where you wake up every day doing what you love? So if you're interested in taking Guercy's amazing advice to the next level, make sure you sign up for that workshop. It's tomorrow night at 6 p.m. We're hosting on Zoom. We already have a whole bunch of people signed up, so make
Sure.
sure to join. Because that's amazing, amazing advice. And I
Man.
never thought of it from that point of reference where it's like, the thing that you pay a bunch of money on,
Yeah.
like let them pay you to have
Yeah,
it,
exactly. To add that, because at this point you got so much of it. You know what I'm saying? Which
Yeah,
is
that's
crazy.
real. That's
And I want
real.
to say shout out to Ndubisi, man. Like this man
Man,
is.
killing the game. Nonstop.
Oh,
On fire.
Man, I haven't seen this man. This man was in LA once, and I think I missed him by like, I mean, a flight type shit. You know what I mean? Like, but yo, shout out to this man. This man is doing amazing things, man. Like, shout out to a bunch of people, like, whoever's out there doing their thing. Shout out to y'all, man, because I know there's so many people doing things. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. And shout out to you. I mean, for even putting this thing together. Like, this is awesome.
It's been my honor and privilege
I really appreciate it.
It's been beautiful to relink with you all and learn about your journey. But also I've been learning things about people, I know, but I don't know your whole journey. So it's been I've learned, and been inspired along the way. I see you have a question come in though from one of your fellow alum. I think this is a cool question to ask.
Biggest challenges in footwear
What's been
industry?
your biggest challenge in the footwear industry?
Learning how to communicate. So, like, I'm Haitian, you know what I mean? Like, full of energy, rah, 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 you know what I mean? My back, coming from Miami, my background a little Haiti, you know what I mean? Like, kind of have a, different tone, And so I just had to learn how to communicate within a new kind of environment, because even in CCS, like, I was still able to be rambunctious and, kind of, I was pretty lit. I remember, you know what I mean? Like,
You was Guercy.
Right. You know what I mean? He was out here. But just like, I think that was like the biggest challenge, like trying to figure out like, all right, cool. Like how to communicate with others, how to be able to like, get my point across and listen. I need to learn how to listen. So that was like one of the biggest things, like I think like challenges I had while I was in the footwear industry, because you're working with so many different people, and it's not like school anymore. Like these are different ages and different people have different backgrounds and different beliefs. So you just gotta be able to watch what you say, see how you move and stuff like that. And that's not a bad thing. It just kind of, teaches you how to be amongst more people that think differently, right? So, and they have to be there for 8 hours. So like, we all got to kind of like, let's learn how to work with one another so like we can all be happy while we're at this job. Cause like, I mean, when I first got to, I mean, we had speakers, like it was going crazy, right? So like, we just had to learn how to work with people and respect the work environment, communicate with others, make sure, everyone feels good and stuff like that. That was like one of my biggest challenges.
It seems like you've overcome it because you're still connected, doing great things in the industry. Another question that someone asked is, if you want to work for a company, what's the best way to establish connections with them? So I'm assuming that's a student, maybe has a dream of always working at Reebok or Nike. What's the best way for them to establish connections with them? I know you spoke a little bit about, being always around career development and using those resources, but is there any other advice that you would give?
Yeah, I think another thing is like, even though I have a gig, every morning when I wake up, I check LinkedIn. Every morning. It's like a game to me. It's like checking stocks, right? Like I'm gonna check it. Cause that, like the same way I check Instagram, I check LinkedIn, like up and down, slide it, Even though I'm not looking for a gig, like, like I feel like that's the best place to stay connected, network with this person, or this person has a different title, this person. So like I'm always like on LinkedIn and like connecting with people, like, oh, this person is a design director over here, like, oh, I haven't connected with this person for a really long time. Let me send them a message, whatever. Because like if you look in the future, like when you look at if you look at it, it says like it'll tell you like, oh, this person is working here for whatever time long and whatever. So if you're looking for a job, connect with this person and send them a message. And it's so not, I don't want to say it's just so easy or whatever, because that sounds so stupid, but like LinkedIn has made it so easy to like connect, like really, really, really connect. Like, so like, like I think that like, that's one of the advice I've given everyone, like all the jobs that are available are on there. And I could tell you, like, because I'll be real with you, like when I was not in the industry, or I had my foot wet in the industry, like I used to be like, there's no way, like I'm sure there's like secret jobs that they're hiding from people. They're not posting it on LinkedIn, or that they're posting everything on there, like,
Mm-hmm.
because they're, because when they're looking for somebody to fill in or whatever, like they are about that. So like all the jobs are on there, and then like also when you find a job, there's a technique. Here's a technique, right? Let's just say you find a job, right, and you're like, oh, Lululemon, I want to work at Lululemon or whatever, right? So let's just say the job is there, like you want to be apparel designer at a Lululemon. Boom. So you obviously apply online or whatever, right? But key tip: everybody is applying online, right? So there's like probably 2,000, 5,000 applications on there. So once you're done applying online, go make some connections with people that are working there, or within that area, right? So like if you just apply for the apparel design position, go connect with the apparel marketing person, connect with the apparel design director, connect with the da-da-da-da, and then like send them a light message. Hey, listen, da-da-da-da, whatever, I'm really interested in this thing, da-da-da-da, hope you have a nice day, etc. Done, right? Because now not only do they have your name, like, because like hopefully that person is like me, where they're checking their LinkedIn all the time, right? Because hopefully they want to stay connected all the time, but they're gonna see that message. They're gonna see, oh, this person's interested in this thing, da da da, and that'll get you even like a quicker way to get in there. You know what I mean? Like that's my thought about
I think that's
going about it.
a great piece of advice to utilize LinkedIn, not just when you're like, yes, when you're searching, but just as a social media platform. Like if you want to network
Yes.
with people, this is a tool for networking with people within your industry. So use that tool. I know I'm glad that at CCS, we've actually integrated that into the first year experience class, where all of our freshmen have to make their LinkedIn page and start connecting with their peers so that they get used to using that platform. But I love that you use it every day. You're the first person I've heard give that advice. I think that's really great advice. And in my head, I'm like, oh, maybe I should look at it. Even though I'm not looking to leave, I love
Oh
CCS,
no,
but
no, yeah, no,
just
but
to
yeah,
see what
no.
people are
It's
doing.
always seems, seriously, like I literally like I said, I'm not in a search for a gig or whatever, but like every morning, like before COVID, after COVID, during COVID, like I mean, like I always on LinkedIn, like always, I mean, just to see, yo, what's going on? That's probably like people are dropping new projects, like people are looking, oh yeah, like hey, listen, I got this thing that I'm working on. Who wants to work? Da da da, stuff like that. Like there's all type of stuff on there. Like obviously, like gotta, I guess like another thing is like we just gotta feed our minds in different ways. Like I love Instagram, I love TV, and I love certain things. But then like if we treat LinkedIn just like we treat like IG or whatever it is, Twitter, whatever it is, I'm telling you, like it'll just become a part of your day type thing. But it's a different platform. It's a different kind of, you know what I mean? But you're still feeding your brain different things, finding out what's going on, different innovations. It's dope. I love it. Shout
I
out LinkedIn.
love that advice. That's great advice. I hope that answered the question. I'm sure that answered the question that that person asked. All right. So to wrap us up here,
Yes, ma'am.
speaking in the spirit of networking and staying connected, where can people go to find out more about what you're creating, what you're doing? Where should people connect with you to learn more?
Yo, so obviously, you can find me on LinkedIn, Guercy Eugene. My profile is not locked. Obviously, like, you can message me, I'll receive it. But also, I'm deeper into Instagram also. So, like, you can find me Guercy Eugene on Instagram. Also, like, me and the whole squad, we got a whole thing called Deco_fam. I'm sure, hopefully, people know about it.
Is
And,
Deco_FAM?
yep.
I'll
Yeah,
put that
so
in
it's
the
pretty
chat
much
for
like the
people.
whole squad, like kind of like our little collective, like we're making music, you know what I mean, designs, this, that, and third, graphics, like, just like our whole little thing, you know what I mean, like just our own little creative collective thing. So if you guys are, trying to connect with me, that's usually the main places I be at. I mean, I'll even toss out my email is GEUGENE58 at Gmail. So that's my personal Gmail.
That's a real one. He gave y'all his email just now, y'all.
Yeah, man. So y'all hit me up. You know what I mean? I'm out here. And actually, I mean, I answer. I mean, I'm on my emails too. So, but obviously Instagram is like boom, boom. You know what I mean? Like,
Easy way to
so.
connect.
Yep.
Guercy, this has been so wonderful. I'm so grateful for you for sharing your journey and your
Appreciate
wisdom
that.
and your
Appreciate that.
stories and your
Appreciate that.
advice with me and all the folks tuning in today live and all the folks who are going to be watching the recording. This was a wonderful conversation. And I say this to so many people and I mean it every time. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you so much. This needs to be a podcast. You need to make this a podcast.
Oh, even think about that.
You should. I'm telling you, you should, man. This, I like this. You know what I mean? It's nice. It's nice.
Well, I appreciate it. And I forget, I need to start doing this more for folks who are enjoying the IG live conversations and
I'm
want to
definitely
keep,
tuning in.
tune in. I'm trying to tell y'all the date for the next one. I'm like, I need to find it right now. I think it's next Friday. Yes, our next CCS Alumni Live is Friday, the 29th of January. We'll be talking with Melissa, I believe it's Maiti, who is a ceramicist. So again, pottery, doing some different, we're talking to all the majors. So
I like
make sure to tune in and check out that next IG Live. Guercy, thank you so much for your wisdom.
Appreciate you, Brandy.
Everyone
Thank you
who
so
tuned
much.
in. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Bye, everybody.